changed their reporting model or didn't give us information, have at least one negative outlook. 92% of all the cities have got at least one red or yellow light up there. Of the counties, 70 of 85 have that, at least one negative indicator. That's 82%. So as you can see, this is very common. It doesn't mean bad management of local government. It means that that one light is yellow or red, and we need to take these in context. It's not a pass-fail test. So can I use an analogy here for you? This isn't like the grade card that your kid brings home. Jimmy got an F in English. That's a bad thing. And if there's no really getting around that, there's no context that needs to be considered, Jimmy's failing English. This is more like your physical with your doctor. So the doc says, well, your cholesterol is kind of elevated. Well, that's bad. No, it's good. It's the good cholesterol. Maybe it's bad cholesterol that's elevated, but it's not off the charts. Well, is that genetic? Is it metabolism? Is it diet? We don't know. There's a lot of factors that your doc is going to want to look at before the doc is going to say, here's what you ought to do. Think of this as a fiscal physical. So here's the city one, which is much larger, as you might think. The horizontal axis on either of these tells you what's going on, what's the story with that individual entity. So you look over here and see the city of Fairfield, you come across, they're actually doing all right. There's just four lights up on that. The vertical axes are the ones that tell the state story. So let me give you an example here. We've got one that really bothers me is category number 11. If you go down here, you're going to see a lot of red and yellow lights. And now it's a very common problem. Well, factor 11, I'm not going to go through all of what these statistics are, the definitions are in the report, and trust me, you do not want me to spend 20 minutes telling you about it. But that one is the percent of depreciation of your capital assets. Now, your capital assets, that's the expensive stuff, okay? That's City Hall, that's your emergency squads, your police cruisers, it's the capital goods that go into your governmental operation. If you've got at least 50% depreciation, in other words, it's halfway through its useful life, that's a yellow indicator. If it's 70% depreciated, more than 2/3 through its useful life, that's a red indicator. Now, why is that important? And why is it important in this context? The reason that it's important is the deferral of capital investments is a tried and true strategy when you're in a recession. When the recession comes, revenues shrink, you don't replace the roof at City Hall, you patch it. And you wait for better times. You don't buy a new fleet of cruisers. You patch them up and keep them on the road and hope that next year revenue's a little bit better and we can replace the cruisers then. So being this far into a recovery, an economic recovery, and having this number of governments that are still deferring capital investment is troubling to me. Now, again, it's one factor out of 17, but it's a danger sign. And what it tells me is that while local government leaders have done pretty well managing the choppy waters, at the end of the day, they're now really flush. Most governments are not in a position where they can take additional revenue losses or operating cuts. Now, Some of the other vertical axis, if you look at indicator 9, that is just government type activity. So that excludes your water, your electricity, your sewer, what we call enterprise funds. Those are typically based on a pay-as-you-go cost model, and so those funds tend to be have a better cash flow and look a little more healthy. We want indicator 9 is designed to give us a look at what we think of as basic local services. It's your police department, it's your sanitation and streets and recreation and parks. And while it's not as bad as 11, we see a lot of lights up there on 9. Also an indicator that there's not a lot of wiggle room in the fiscal health of local governments. We also, a couple other ones I want to point out to you. Indicator 2 shows declining general fund balances, year-end balances year over year. Again, I want to caution you that causation different causations in local governments. So if you had a judgment or you had a bunch of people retire with big vacation payouts, you might see a one-year drop in your general revenue ending balance year to year. It doesn't mean that you're about to fall off a cliff. You've got to look at all 17. If you've got that declining GRF balance and you only have 2 or 3 lights up, that's not something I would worry about. If I was a fiscal officer, I'd want to understand that. I would ask, why did this happen? But it wouldn't tell the whole story. And I'd already mentioned indicator 6, property tax revenues declining over time. So this report does not contemplate things that are yet to happen. So these are 2015 numbers. They're based on the audited numbers for that year as of 12/31/2015. We will be updating this as the 2016 numbers come out and are audited and validated. But for example, we know that the Medicaid sales tax elimination is coming. That is not included as part of these calculations of this report, although the average loss is going to be about 7.5% to local sales tax collections. So with that,